Right now, we're losing viewers by the minute right now, by the second.
Anne Marie is pissed.
Lucifer felt like it belonged in the 80s.
Lucifer was a supernatural procedural show, which reminded me a lot of Angel.
Lucifer was an intriguing show with a debonair guy.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. With us, as always, is Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. Joining us today is Joe Colton, cosplayer, actor.
Hi, everybody.
My name's Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing Lucifer, which you probably would have guessed from our words and other things. The first episode is called Pilot. This was suggested by Anne Marie Seagull about 12 times. So let's talk about it, shall we? First things first, Michael and I were talking about this, and we're thinking, let's add a little bit to this. Let's add a quick little thing that we call...
We haven't come up with a name for it yet, but...
We could either call it predictions or the guessing game.
The terrible ones.
So that's where Mike and I each guess what the other person thought of the show before we even talk about it, to see how well our friendship, our 25-year friendship, really stands the test of time. So everybody that's watching the premiere of this, go ahead and make your guesses. Guess, what did Michael think? What did Ryan think? And for bonus points, what did Joe think? You guys don't know much about Joe, probably, unless you've already seen her or met her. So that's like the wild card guess. If you get that, you're a psychic or the devil. But before we talk about that, Michael is going to tell us what this show is about.
Lucifer Morningstar has decided he's had enough of being the dutiful servant in hell and decides to spend some time on Earth to better understand humanity. He settles in Los Angeles, the city of angels. In this episode, Lucifer has left hell to take up life on Earth. When a friend of his is murdered, Lucifer joins forces with the good side of the law to discover who the perpetrators are and give them what they rightfully deserve. My question is, though, what is the bad side of the law? I can't hear you, Ryan.
Yeah,
That's right. Sorry, I muted myself because I coughed. I said, I feel like we're exploring the bad side of the law right now in 2020, but moving on from that.
Oh, good point, yeah.
Into, you made this sound like a comedy. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. That's how I heard it in my head when I read the synopsis on IMDb. So
that's how I heard it just now too.
It sounded like it was like a coming of age kind of adventure, comedy adventure. I was like, that's totally not what I saw, but okay.
Lucifer and his friend, Detective Decker.
Right.
Follow each week as these two rascals solve crime and learn a bit about themselves. So, Michael, I'm going to predict that you liked the show, but were not overly fond of it. Somewhere between the 7 and 7.5 range is what I think you're feeling for this.
Oh, we have to put a number on it.
No, whatever you want. You can just, what do you think? What do you think?
Pressure.
How do you think I felt about this show?
I predict that you did not care for it.
Strange. Why do you think that?
That's my prediction. That's my prediction based on what I know of you over 25 years of friendship.
Oh.
I'm so curious. Okay. But if you don't want to tell us why, you just want it to be
no. What am I going to spoil it for everybody?
It's not a spoiler. They want
it to come out when we talk about it.
Okay. So, Joe, if you want to throw out some bonus points, do you have any predictions as to what we thought of it? I think Joe liked it, by the way. I think Joe liked it pretty strongly, like around the 8 to 8.5 region is what I think that she thought of it.
Okay.
Don't
tell us yet.
Okay. I for you guys, I think Michael was on the fence, more like a 4, 4.5 maybe. And I thought, Ryan, you were more of the 6.5 to 7 range.
Got it.
Stay tuned to find out later.
I know, boy, oh boy.
But you know what? I thought you were gonna absolutely like it, and then Michael said no, and I was like, oh no.
See, he's poisoning the well. He's poisoned your mind.
So much pressure.
Okay, so
now we have to tell people we forgot to tell people that if they want us to review a show, just like Anne-Marie did a million times with Lucifer, or 1.5 million, put it in the comments. WTF, Angel or Buffy, or Ryan would hate that, so definitely do Buffy.
I heard My Little Pony is a no, or like, no, it wasn't. Fraggle Rock was a no.
Oh, you could know. Everybody, WTF, Fraggle Rock. WTF.
I love Ryan's face.
There are no official no's, but this Fraggle Rock is what I like to call a shadow ban. It's a shadow ban. It's not official. And Mike's looking at it like, no, it's not. There is no such thing as a shadow ban for this show.
Can I ask why you're like not as enthusiastic about Fraggle Rock?
Well, in a nutshell, I have no interest. Okay. So also, I don't know, just whatever. I saw a tiny bit of it as a kid, and it looked ugly.
But also, don't forget to give this video a like, even though Ryan's probably turning you off. Please like it, though. Don't unlike it.
Right.
And then go ahead. If you're not already subscribed, just subscribe already. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, subscribing is totally free, and it helps us a ton. Hit the bell icon, smash the icon, cast a devil spell on the icon. And if you want us to watch the first episode of a series, WTF, My Little Pony, that means watch the first WTF.
Ryan really wants
in the
to
comments
watch that
below.
One,
yeah, it sounds fun. Anyway, let's get into it. We got to move on into more important things. What did we expect and what did we get? So we say, first of all, we go around the table and we say, what did we expect? And then we say what we got. So first of all, I'll tell you, do I go first?
I think usually you have me go first.
Okay,
because
Michael,
you're struggling to figure out what you're going to say about it.
I'm buying time. All right. Michael, what did you expect?
What I expected is a show about the devil. And I expected to have at least some male nudity because because the thumbnail on Netflix, it was like him like all naked, like lounging back, and that's what I expected.
Huh. Joe, what did you expect?
I expected a little bit more devilishness out of it. But I expected to more supernatural aspects. That's what I expected going in. Just because it's Lucifer, so you're expecting like angels and God and more of like the demonic realm. So
you're right. You do usually go first, Michael. This feels familiar.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what
I expected. It's so long since we've done one of these.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I expected is I hardly expected much. I rarely do. I just expected it to be really good because people say that it's really good, especially Anne-Marie. Every time she says, oh my God, you got to do WTF Lucifer. And I felt like it probably had something to do with the devil. That's really it, because it was called Lucifer, but I didn't have much. That's what we expected. What did you get, Michael?
I got, like I mentioned before in the opening, I got a supernatural procedural show that like it's reminded me so much of Angel. Some of you might know that my wife and I had a little deal where we watched Star Trek for me, and then we watched Buffy and Angel for her. So we watched all of Next Generation for me, and we watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer for her because she loves it. And then we watched all of Deep Space Nine, and then we watched all of Angel. So we're on Enterprise now, and then also Stargate 1, SG-1. So stay tuned for more information about that. But
also, WTF Stargate.
Yeah. Oh, hey, the Stargates are not bad, actually. I've found. So, so I guess, what it really reminded me a lot about Angel, which is a show about a vampire with a soul living in Los Angeles solving crimes, and this is a show about the devil, who seems to be like inching his way towards good. A good guy devil a little bit, and he's in Los Angeles solving crime. So the two shows reminded me a lot of each other. So.
What did you get, Joe?
I got a bit of Angel, but then a bit of Castle. So like Decker was very like Beckett. A lot of the just the mannerisms, her hating him, her like not wanting anything to do with whatever he's about. It was very much like the supernatural and aspect of Angel, but not as much as I had hoped.
Got it. Well, I'll tell you what I got. I was definitely surprised that it was procedural as well. And I kind of only figured that out towards the end. I was like, oh, this is a procedural show. I was not expecting that at all. I was also not what I got was a procedural show that fucking sucked.
All right, I was right.
You were right. I don't know how you predicted that, man. I thought that it would be. I thought that you would think I would like it, but I mean, not everything. Not all of it sucked, obviously. And right now we're losing viewers by the minute right now, by the second.
Anne Marie is pissed.
Yeah, the music and time are slowing down right now. It's like, and they're walking out.
It's like when that angel shows up and time slows down.
Deal. Exactly. That's the guy. Obviously not everything sucked about it, but it was certainly not nearly as good as I expected. And I can't wait to fart in the general direction of this show for the next 45 minutes.
Oh,
that's wow. A Monty Python method. That's a Monty Python reference, by the way.
It sure is. Yeah, the French taunter. And that's Ryan, all right.
I love
it. Ryan is the French taunter.
All
right. So now what do we talk about? I forgot. Now you have to remind me.
We just have to back up what we just said. So I'll tell you, I mean, since we're on a roll here, here's what part of what didn't work for me is that I felt like it was trying way too hard to be way too clever, way too often. And it was being like, so like, aren't we clever? Aren't we so coy? Look at how cool and mysterious and interesting we are. This is what I think. I think Lucifer is a show for people that always wanted a tattoo, but were too afraid to get one. Okay. This is just the right kind of danger. So they can be like, look, I like a show that's about the devil. Aren't I mysterious? Aren't I so interesting? But really anyway, but it did feel kind of like the 80s.
At the beginning, when I first started watching the show, I had similar sentiments. I'll tell you that much. I felt definitely that they were trying too hard, that they were trying to push this concept of the devil who left hell and now he's a bad boy on Earth. They were trying to push that a little bit too far. But he wasn't even a bad
boy. He's from the very beginning. He's the sweet, sensitive type with the lady that got shot.
Well, maybe, but he bribes a cop right off the top. I mean, that just showed us. Okay, look. Oh, he doesn't play by the rules of Earth law. He does things his own way, and like he's got these magical powers where he can draw people's desires out of them. So they definitely, I think we're playing. I agree that they were playing a little bit too much into that. But I will say that about halfway through, for me at least, it became more about the relationships and less about, oh, look how cool it is that, hey, this is the devil here, guys. We got the devil. He's on Earth. Be careful. He's very sexual. He's a very sexual being. But then for me, it became more about the relationship between Lucifer and Decker. And not necessarily like, I mean, obviously they're setting it up to be like a romantic relationship. But at least in this first episode, to me, it was more about that dynamic between the two of them, where she is actually not prey to his masculine wiles, to coin a phrase. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. There's something about the dynamic between the two of them, and I love the little girl, Beatrice,
A+.
Trixie.
Yep,
Yeah, the
that was
little
great.
girl is fantastic, and that I think it was about when the time when the little girl showed up on screen, then I was like, all right, this does not suck.
Right now, Joe.
That was my turning point too.
Joe can't wait to get in and be like, "You guys just don't understand this show. You guys don't get it."
I'll wait.
No,
Go ahead. It's your turn.
Come on
now.
in. So you had a turning point too, huh?
Yeah, so in the beginning, like, I was like, of course they were picking Los Angeles, the city of angels, and of course his license plate says Fallen One. And the bribing and the tempting of the police officer. I was like, all these things are they're very cliche as to what you think people will want to see of the devil. But then slowly, I think they dragged that out a little too long.
Yeah.
But then when the little girl, Lucifer meets Beatrix at the school and she tells him what she's done, he kind of admires her as a little girl and then goes over and shows the bully the special place in hell for bullies, right? Like his eyes open and it's all red and she freaks out. I agree with Ryan that it was like he's sensitive already, but I think they're trying to show also that the devil's not just an evil person. He is also a fallen angel. Right. So he did at one point care and was in the loving grace of God, right? So I think he's very intrigued, but also attracted to Decker. And he doesn't understand why she's not under his spell. I thought the psychiatrist portion of the pilot was ridiculous. I was just like, this is so dumb. But for the pilot, like I've watched most of the show, so I do change my opinions of the characters. But for this one, I was like, yeah, a lot of cliche. But by the end of it, when he saves Decker, I think it's more of a she saved him, so he should save her, and like an eye for an eye, or like you do me a favor, because he's all about favors, right? It's not doing his bidding. It's all about free will and doing favors for him. I then found it curious because he became too good by the end of it that he had to go back to the doctor and fulfill his barter with her. It was weird.
He did say, "My word is my bond."
Yeah.
Yes. So we'll see.
Yeah.
That whole doctor thing was weird.
Cliches all day in this show. Nonsense. And I put in my notes, Los Angeles, of course. Like, because if he's tired of all the fighting and the hell and the anger and he wants to go on a vacation, yeah, of course he'd go to Los Angeles, right? Not say like Aspen, somewhere peaceful, or like, one of the Greek Isles perhaps, or an African safari. Nope, he wants to go to Hollywood, which is where he was.
I would have expected if it wasn't Hollywood, it would be Vegas or New York City. Like,
yeah, New York for sure.
Yeah, how all these cliche
Right.
cities.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, I just want to point out that his tags are expired. 2000, said Los
true.
Angeles 2016.
You're right.
His tag is 2015 December.
wow, good point.
Hey, he's not playing by our rules.
Wow, this guy is wow.
What a rebel.
This guy is cool. This guy, I just thought that like all of it was way too much of the Jedi mind trick, which
it's not a Jedi mind. He's not a Jedi, Ryan.
I know,
Yeah.
which is funny because I put Jedi in my notes, and then a few minutes later they actually he said something like, "What are you, a Jedi?" I do think that about 20 or 10 to 20% of the jokes or the clever, one-liners were funny. I did like a lot of them, but it was just incessant. It was so, in my mind, it was so childish, like that they were trying to make every single line a cute joke or a cute one-liner or a play on the devil's words. And it was like just in the first 5 minutes, I was just like, oh shit, this is gonna kill me. But there were some good ones.
Did it literally kill you?
Well, I'll see him there if it did. But one of the lines that was funny was when she says, "What's your name?" and he says, "Lucifer Morningstar," and she goes, "Is that a stage name?" He goes, he's like, "No, God-given." I'm like, okay, see, that's funny. That's cute.
Yeah.
That's clever. But then they can't use that joke ever again for the rest of the series. And I have a feeling they might.
Maybe.
Yeah. Lots of good jokes in there. There were some fun ones, but most of them was too much for me. I did like it when he was talking about how she almost married some sweaty guy or something. I don't know why that made me laugh, just because it was mean. So that was great. What do you guys think about Amenadiel or Amenadiel, the demon or whatever he was that came up? He was my favorite character. Him and the little girl.
I thought he was an angel. Because he's got black wings, so I don't know if that means anything. But I don't know what color wings angels have in this show. I don't know enough about the mythology of this show particularly to say or one way or another. And I did not Google his name either to see if there's any additional information.
He was so like dark, and he had claws on his wings. And at the end, he had his best line when he said, "I would love a war." And I'm like,
right.
Yeah, that's my guy right there.
Well, so yeah, they're setting it up obviously for some kind of confrontation, but is that like a war between good and evil, like the forces of heaven versus the forces of hell? Because if so, then this guy's an angel. He's like threatening the devil too. So he's saying, get back in your place where you have to like torment the evil people in hell, or else you know what happens to them. Or no, I don't know what happens to them. But what happens to them? That's they're leaving it open as a mystery for a season arc, I'm guessing. So,
I think he's a demon. What do you think, Joe?
I think he's a demon. Usually, TV shows like to provide the audience with over provide the answers, and so they make it very simple. So I'm pretty sure that most angels will have white wings in this show. When it first came out, I had already looked up this character, and he is in mythology, and so I
cool.
already know he's the. Am I allowed to say, or do I not say? Okay,
we're dying to know.
Yeah.
He's the older brother of Lucifer. So
interesting.
He is trying to make him keep the balance.
Well, he still could be an angel then. So.
Yeah, if he's the older brother, then he would be an angel.
There's other fallen angels though too. He was.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce his name anyway?
Amenadiel.
Amenadiel.
Amenadiel. Yeah.
Amenadiel.
Amenadiel.
Okay.
Hey, man, I got a deal for you.
Yeah, but I liked him a lot, and I thought that not just that the little girl was cool, but the moments between Douchey and the girl were actually the best moments of the show for me.
Wait, which one's douchey? Lucifer or
yeah,
the
Lucifer.
douchey dad?
Lucifer. Oh yeah, of course he's a douche too. But that's also so on the nose. Everything on the show is so on the nose. Oh, the ex-husband is on the nose, and he's a douche. And there's something not right about him, but he's watching Lucifer too, going, I don't know if I like him either. Oh crap, man!
And of course, him and the ex-wife don't get along, and the little girl has her fingers in the ears.
Right,
and
yeah, but I liked it when she said, like, when she goes, "Mommy, what's a hooker?" That's funny.
Yeah.
And then she immediately looks at him, which is which is a second funny. And then the third funny is ask your daddy, which is kind of like a jab to him that now he's got to deal with this. So that was a whole solid, funny moment all the way around. I thought that worked really well. And obviously him talking to both little girls that were in the fight was great. The no touch square.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some goods. Yeah.
That's all I had to say about that.
I mean, I think it's interesting, at least, maybe not hilarious, but I think it's funny, that a little funny or interesting that that she was in like a teen sex movie or something like that, like as like the new Phoebe Cates coming out of the water, like burr, 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 burr. This little Cars reference there. That had some decent music in this one at first too. Like there was that Ain't No Rest for the Wicked. Okay, that's a little on the nose as well, but they had David Bowie, and then later on they had Beck, and yeah, so there were some decent tunes going on to kind of keep your interest if you're completely turned off from this show like Ryan. So.
Yeah.
With the music, I found that it started with that and ended with that, and also kind of symbolic. Like he didn't really learn anything. Like there's no learning anything. He's just the same guy.
Right.
You just learn about everybody else. You don't learn about him. Like you're just a douchebag who's like the cliche devil. That's it.
Right.
I would disagree. I think that he did grow a little bit.
Right. This is probably my biggest nitpick of this show, is that there is a part at the very end where they're telling us, remember, they're doing tell, don't show, which is she's saying, I think the humans are rubbing off on you, or they're, or whatever it is, implying that at the end of the episode, he's starting to be a little nicer than at the beginning, right?
Right.
But then I go, no, well, hang on a second. Fact check. The first thing he did was give this girl life advice and say, hey, you need to pick yourself up and you need to get yourself together. And not just in one quick, rude way, like clean yourself up and get away from me. He was like, oh, come on, let's work together on this. I'm like, they're not rubbing off on him. He showed up as the White Knight. He's been like this from the get-go, and at least in my estimation. So I thought that was bad writing, where they're like, oh, the humans are rubbing off on you. You're turning into a good guy that everybody make sure you like him because he's becoming one of us. Like he was nice from the get-go, dude.
I just got hit over the head.
And when he talked to Delilah, she said, oh, you tricked me, or I sold my soul to the devil. And he's like, no. I just introduced you. It's all about free will. You made the decision. I just provided basically the environment, and you walked through the door. Like all the drugs and stuff, that's all you. But I would like you to clean yourself up and get your life in order. So he didn't really change. He just provided her an opportunity. What she did with it, that was on her.
Yeah. I actually liked, I do like the mythology or the lore or whatever they're setting up there, the arena in which they make it clear what the devil does. And he said, He said, I just introduced you to a few people that owed me favors. And that tells you, oh, that's what he does, is he just kind of collects favors. And he says, hey, I helped you out. Now you need to help me out by taking care of this girl or by doing something like that. So he's like kind of like a what's the term? What would that be? Like a go-between or a
fixer?
Yeah, an introducer. I don't know. What do you think, Mike? What would you call that?
Something. A devil. I don't know.
Satan.
The devil's in the details is what they say.
Oh, have they used that one yet? No, they haven't. That's episode 2.
Oh, all right.
Oh, I watched episode 2 to see if they do that right off the bat.
And you know they're gonna say, devilish good looks. They're gonna have deviled eggs. He's gonna watch the LA Kings play the New Jersey Devils, right? I mean, it's just gonna go on forever.
All right. Cool.
Mike, are you mad that we're stomping on your new favorite show?
I am not. No, like I said, I kind of had similar feelings in the beginning too. Like yeah, they're definitely hitting you over the head with all this stuff. And yeah, I guess I didn't take that many notes. I thought I thought I had taken more notes, but I'm like looking at my notes like, did I taken it? Did I write notes about that? I guess like halfway through, I was just engrossed in the show and like there was a point. The last note that I wrote is, okay, this show is growing on me. And that's about the after all that stuff with the kids. So
the last note I took was, he comes back to the doctor for humps.
He sure did.
But he bartered.
The doctor is the only character that I recognized. Rachel Harris, the actor.
Oh, really?
She's a comic actor. She's been in a ton of different stuff.
Rachel Harris, I think, is her name. Yeah. Yeah. I think the other thing that intrigued me about Amenadiel is he I feel like when he extended his wings and put it to Lucifer's throat, it looked like there was a slight fear or nervousness. And then when they met again in the street, when he went away, it looked like a subtle sigh of relief. So that part intrigued me. I kind of want more of that aspect, like what's going on here.
Who was nervous? Which one?
Lucifer. Yeah, Lucifer was nervous.
Oh, Lucifer was.
Yeah, that's good. He needs to have something that he's afraid of. There needs to be something that some kind of consequence that he fears, like a constant.
I mean, he obviously has great reverence for God. I mean, like that's his father, and he's all powerful, and it's like he recognizes that too. And so, I think he's kind of walking on eggshells because he doesn't want to piss off the big man. So.
The big fella. I'll tell you what may have been my other biggest nitpick was just people are going to hate me. If you don't already hate me, here it comes.
Oh boy.
Dude, that entire relationship between the two leads was based on a fucking lie. Like, they cannot convince me that is how humans react. A detective that is arresting a man, and then he goes, "Oh, I got out of the thing." The detective's not gonna be like, "Oh, that's weird. Boy, let's talk about it. Let's hang out." "Oh, but then I'm gonna be coy, and then I'm gonna beat you at your own game and be all clever and cute about it." No, she's gonna put the fucking handcuffs back on him, and she's going to point a gun at him out of fear because she's going to be like, I don't know what this guy can do or is capable of doing. She's going to call for backup. She's going to do something, but her demeanor is going to go in the opposite direction. She's going to get way more serious because she's going to be like, whoa, something bad can happen to me, or this guy sucks, or this guy's breaking the law, or whatever. But she's not going to be like, well, two can play at this game, Buster. And then
nonchalant.
And then from the whole way out, like we're all supposed to forget that in her mind, she's arresting a criminal and she's teaming up with a criminal and she's talking with a criminal and she's hanging out with, and she's picking up her daughter with a criminal. Yeah, like, dude, that whole
Going
thing,
to a bar with a criminal.
I do not accept the premise. So the whole thing that was built on this premise is like a house of cards to me.
But also, what everybody should realize is that Ryan has no suspension of disbelief at all. So if everything is not 100% accurate, he can't buy it at all. That's Ryan's thing.
I can for He-Man.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see about that. That's next week, by the way. That's why we said that.
Coming up next week on He-Man. Yeah, but I don't know. That whole part was a little bit hard for me to buy at first as well. But like I was saying, it was all kind of that loose, that very loose Lucifer premise. That okay, here's the devil. He's in L.A. He's the L.A. bad boy. He owns a club and drives a race car and doesn't care. He bribes cops, whatever. But and then also it's like I feel like even just arresting him because I guess he broke into that guy's house and stuff like that. But
threatening to kill him.
Yeah,
assaulting him.
A lot of violence.
Assault him, yeah,
and broke his windows and did all these things. That was another thing. When the
but
detective
don't they have to ask him if he's going to press charges though? Like
if that detective showed up to that situation and saw again the criminal that she initially suspected and had as a person of interest, if she showed up and he was there, she wouldn't be like, oh, hey, what'd you find out? Let's talk about it. She'd be like, okay, now I got you. Now I know that you're connected with this wrongly, but she would make that connection and be like, okay, now I know something's up. And she just skips over that whole thing. She has too much suspension of disbelief, in my opinion. That's what I say. And in my notes, I have the most all cap sentences than in any other notes I've ever taken.
I kind of want to see your notes.
I wish I could show them to you. But
I was right. He did not care for it.
What is this?
Okay,
you were right.
I'll pull them up on my phone so you could see the caps. I mean, they're not a ton, but usually I save it for just characters. Like when we're introduced to a character, I put them in capital letters so I can find them quickly. But this one, I kind of ranted in my notes a little bit. I was very fussy.
Well, you're very passionate about it in the least.
Yeah. So one thing I said was,
I want to know from Anne
so
Marie.
this is, well, I don't know if you could see it, but I said, so this is fucking Perry Mason. And then I said, and then in capital letters again, I said, dude completely admits it without any pressure or attorney or court. Like when the guy goes, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids, or that guy. I was like, what is this? Like that part. Okay. As long as we're getting everything off our chest, that dude just completely in the
music
show,
producer guy.
Yeah. In this show, humans don't even act like people. They just act like caricatures of people. This guy, he gets accused of something, and rather than being like, I know my rights, or rather than being like, no, I didn't, or I'm going to call my attorney, or whatever, he goes, yeah, I sure did it, see? And here's my full confession. Right, I'm going to confess to everything. Like, people don't, what? That's not a thing. That only happens in, like, comedies and Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, but also Lucifer can bring it out of people. I mean, he didn't bring it out of him at first when he was at the wedding, but that's because he was calm and under control. But then once he's like there's a cop in there, and like they found out it was him, and he's getting all nervous now. So he's starting to spill his guts to Lucifer. Like everything's starting to come out because he's not composed. So that makes sense to me in the world of this show. So.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. And I kept trying to convince myself of that. But
Did
then I was
you,
like,
though?
I did, because I kept saying that's also a cool plot device. It's also a good idea. It's a great thing to have in that world. But then I was like, but if you use it constantly, if you use it 15 times per episode, then I feel like it's more of a cop-out than than something interesting. Like, it just felt like the whole thing, because then you're like, is he using it 15 times, or did he only use it like 3 or 4 times and the other 11 times were bad writing? You know, I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
I think I do think that when he had said to the doctor that, oh, she's more complicated because she was composed, so it's harder for him to do it, had to work at it to get it. So that goes back to Michael's point, like at the wedding, he was very composed, whereas when he got accused of it, he was all like, oh my God, I'm accused. I got to do something. And so then the music producer got frantic. And so he was more susceptible to the trick or the talent that Lucifer has. But it does make me wonder how many times he did actually use it. He used it with the doctor for sure. He scared the bully, like the little girl that was a bully. But he didn't use it to have her tell him anything.
Right. He used it on
he used it with the cop, and he used it with the guy who wants to become president after acting.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. That was some good stuff there. God,
yeah.
there's so much stuff.
He deserved it.
So maybe like 3 or 4 times. I do like that he can't do it to the other main character, Decker, which is also intriguing. Like, why can he do it to everybody else but not her? So.
And why did they name her Decker too? Like, that reminds me too much of Blade Runner. So.
Yes. Oh, her first name is Chloe. Yeah, but yeah, Decker is very
like
strange.
Chloe. That's
name.
A fun name.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like the name of a kitty. I like that name. Hi, Chloe. Hi, little Chloe. Yeah. Well, then the first time that really hit me was when he comes up to the dude that shot the lady, and he gets hit by a car, and of course, act of God, the other lady says, right? And look, everything I know about humans, which isn't a ton, is that if a human just got hit by a car in a surprising way, not that they're dying of cancer, not that they're 100 years old and dying of old age, but they're hit suddenly and they've got glass and they're dying, they're not going to be like, well, I'll tell you what happened. I got paid. No, they're going to be like, their mind is not going to be on a confession. Their mind is going to be like, oh my God, am I dying? Should I call 911? Can I get up? Can I walk away? Should I call my friend for help? Can you help me, sir? Like, that's what they're going to be. And he's going to be, devil guy's going to be like, hey, what'd you do? He's going to be like, shut up. I'm trying to survive. I'm about to die here. He won't be like, well, I'm probably going to die. So let me just tell you about this watch or whatever.
But didn't he grab him as he was like slowly dying and said not yet and delayed his death? I feel
That's
like he delayed that guy's death. Yeah.
And he said
no, not yet.
What he said to Decker later too is that his soul had not yet left his body. So in all
which was really good. I actually like that.
For all intents and purposes, I think he was dead. But then like you said, the soul didn't leave the body yet. So he's like, hey, wait, you better tell me what. No.
I mean, that's
but
an interesting
in the
thought.
living
That's
plane,
cool.
You have to grab the guy. You can't really grab the soul.
So maybe
can't photograph that.
He was interrogating a soul through a dead person's body.
Right.
Possibly.
That's what it sounded like.
That could be a good
That's what I got.
That's
I like that.
Yeah.
And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. See?
I like
We're
that.
We're going to slowly turn Ryan into liking this show.
Impossible.
I don't think that is possible.
That is
impossible.
There's hope.
I mean, again,
impossible.
Let's talk about all the things we liked for right now.
Okay.
Like, let's
anti-possible.
There's too many things that I didn't like about it. Let's talk about what we did like. There are a lot of funny moments, like when he said, like what you're talking about, when he said his soul hadn't gone over yet, because she said something like, there's a special place in hell for him, and he's like, oh, not yet, or something. That was cute.
Not while I'm around here in these parts.
I have a favorite line.
Favorite. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say one of my favorite lines was at the end where he tells his older brother that one day he looks forward to eating his heart out one day. It's kind of like, ooh.
Eat your heart out, boys.
Yeah.
Or I'll eat it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I did like most of the scene on the movie set when he goes, with my bodyguard. that's so cliche. I mean, that was cool. That was funny because that's kind of like poking fun at the LA types where it's like, they're not heartbroken about the cheating. They're just like annoyed by how stupid the whole thing is.
And who you choose. Like,
yeah. Michael, what were some funny parts that you enjoyed since you're so in love with this show?
Well, like I said, like the first half of it, I was annoyed with it. So I really wasn't paying attention to parts that I liked. I was more like paying attention to all the parts that I didn't like. But yeah, what did I like? I mean, obviously, like I said, like all the little scenes with the little girl and the bully. I mean, that was kind of, I mean, who didn't get satisfaction out of Lucifer going and tormenting a bully, right? I mean,
yeah, little girl. Yeah, who's the bully?
the little girl was the bully.
Yeah, no, I like that.
She deserved it.
Yeah, that was good.
My inner child was like, yes, get that bully. Yes, get her.
Was there some weird editing? There was a point where they were talking to the psychiatrist lady, and she says, I'm really flexible, and she starts to move her leg, and then it immediately cuts to her going, wow, I tried to hold that one in. And they all reacted strongly. Did you notice it?
Yeah, maybe.
I was like, did they cut out like a fart sound? Was there like a fart?
Possibly,
and they just cut it out? But then they got to cut out that whole line because we're like,
right.
What? What happened? Hold what in?
I took it as they saw things that they weren't supposed to see.
And
that makes sense.
She tried to hold the line was, I really tried to keep that one in.
Yeah.
So if they saw some things,
her folds fell out. Probably.
She tried to keep that. No, she said I tried to keep that one in. That was the line. So
all right, I misheard the line. I thought I was trying to keep that one.
Another funny line was when Gray Cooper, the actor on set, he says to his wife or girlfriend or whatever it was, these people are detectives, and she goes, real ones? Which was again funny to me because she's on like on a set, Yeah. There were a lot of good funny lines. I just wish that it didn't take them 50 tries to get 8 funny lines. It's just my wish for the show.
Do you wish that it was more of like they had skipped all that and kind of like naturally went in with like him doing the persuasion or and once in a while having a funny line? Or
Ryan would have just preferred that the show didn't exist. That's what he would have preferred.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I feel like it's the devil. I feel like the devil really did come up to torture me.
Yeah. No. Or Anne-Marie. Did Anne-Marie know that Ryan was going to hate this show? And that's why
I'm sure she thinks everybody loves it. I guess I wish that I wish it was more of I kind of feel like shit or get off the pot. Okay. Either be a dark show with dark humor and dark devil stuff and more Amenadiel guy and maybe a couple others and have that be the theme, or have it be a devilish good time comedy that's like all tongue-in-cheek, but instead they were kind of trying to straddle both and it didn't work for me. It's like either be a satirical comedy with all the wordplay and all the silliness, or be, darker.
Well, the one thing I will say is that this is only their first episode, so maybe they figured that out later. I mean, there's plenty of shows that ended up getting good later on that had a kind of a rough start. But that could be the case here as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But nowadays, shows have to have a really strong pilot. I mean, that's it. You have to know exactly what the show is about. So yeah, I'm very prejudiced when I judge things from the last 10 years versus the things from 30 years ago. Because 30 years ago, shows would go on for 2 or 3 seasons before they even got mildly entertaining, and that was okay. And now it's like you need a good pilot, or we're not interested, because there are 1,000 streaming services, and we don't need you, NBC or whatever it is.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was mostly thinking about like Seinfeld, how it wasn't very good for the first few seasons, or neither was Cheers, neither was any Star Trek.
WTF
But
Seinfeld.
Frasier was great.
Was it?
I liked it.
WTF Frasier, and we'll have to find out.
Boy.
Yes. I'll be on there like trying to fight Michael. Like, no, it was great.
Somebody needs to take him on. I'm too much of a yes man.
No.
Also, when they were talking to the psychiatrist, and he said, look, the answer is yes. We can take a trip to Pound Town, but first, in my notes I put, is that hump or money? Because he had the British accent, so I wasn't sure if he meant like, I can pay you, but first you need to. But then we got the answer, didn't we?
Well, it is an American show.
Yeah.
Even though, yeah, you got Clive Owen over here playing Lucifer, or whoever. I mean, this guy reminds me of Clive Owen a lot.
He wishes.
That's us. Yeah, I was gonna say he's trying to be Clive Owen. So.
What do you think of the acting, guys? What do you think of the actors and acting?
Yeah, I mean, it was all right.
Yeah.
It was like great acting. Like none of these are great actors. No one's winning any Oscars or Emmys for this show for sure.
Do we know this? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
I'll say this show has gone 6 seasons so far. It looks like. Right?
Yeah, I did read that. Yeah, Netflix picked it up for one more final season to finish everything up.
Interesting.
It's doing very well on Netflix, apparently.
Yeah, it's highly touted.
I think that the one character, Maze, you only saw her a couple times. She was the one that told Lucifer that he's becoming soft on. Yeah, the bartender.
Right.
She was more interesting. They gave her more of the mysteriousness than him.
Totally
like
agree.
I'm kind of interested. Like, okay, you left hell with Lucifer. It's insinuated when she was speaking to him. Like, I didn't leave to become a bartender.
Right.
Like, okay, what were you doing there? Why would you leave if you liked it so much and you hate being a bartender? But there was more of a mystery with her than there was with Lucifer because of all the cliches. So
I totally agree. That's a good character. That was the only character that left any mystery or any curiosity. Maybe going back to our other fallen angel that I keep talking about, he was the other one. But with her, I was just like, whoa, what's up with this bartender? And I feel like she left before he did because we're under the impression that he just arrived on vacation, whereas she's had to have been there for a while because she already got a job and knows people there. So, But
she's got a job at his place, though, right? Doesn't he? It seems like he owns that nightclub. Is the impression that I get. It's called.
When he threw his. Yeah, I think the valet called him boss.
You're right.
At the beginning because he tossed the keys. So.
Maybe you're right. Okay. But yeah, she was interesting, and I was curious about her. I'm like, what's her story? What's going on here? Maybe it would have been cool if we had more mystery about old Lucy over here. By the way, shout out to Morningstar, who makes great vegan products. Vegan Morningstar brand. Bacon is excellent. Chicken patties, right, Michael?
Well, yeah, they think they're all vegan now, right? Because at first they were just vegetarian, but I think they actually made the switch to be vegan.
Yeah. So I don't think that's what they were referencing when they called him Lucifer Morningstar.
No, Morningstar is like
I know.
That's what they call Lucifer, the Morningstar.
Yeah, but I still thought that was cool.
I did find out a little tidbit about his accent, Ryan.
All right.
So because it was who was the guy that made the show? He was that's the producer. Oh my God, what is his name?
Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff.
Yes. No, definitely not him. He's the same guy that created Californication. So Tom Ellis, Lucifer, had read the script from him and thought, well, it's based in Los Angeles. He'll do an American accent. but he came across, he said, came across dickish. So he didn't really, it was also missing something. It didn't have that like suave, more charismatic. So he started breaking it down and then turned it into like his normal like British accent, and it came out very suave and elegant and had some an air about him, even though it was very he's douchey. It also comes across like he's very charismatic and attractive. Yeah,
I thought that was the right call. I didn't know that story, but I thought that's the right call, because when at the very beginning, when he first starts speaking, I was like, oh, British accent. I was like, okay, that makes sense, because it makes me feel like old world. You know, anything that's more than a few hundred years shouldn't have an American accent, in my opinion.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
It just shouldn't. So to me, that I thought that's why they did it. But that's a great story. To me, I think they made the right call for sure in that.
Here's
he said
an interesting.
It should be between Oscar Wilde and Mick Jagger having a baby, and that would be the devil. And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. I didn't really think of that, but okay.
Here's something interesting. These characters were created by Neil Gaiman in Friends.
Neil Gaiman,
yes.
Cool.
Gaiman, yeah. Neil Hyman, yeah. Some people for, I guess, a comic book. So maybe this was a comic book first.
So it was built out of the Sandman, and then a spin-off into Lucifer having his own
this was from
comics
the Sandman.
it was DC Comics, Vertigo, then picked it up. So.
Wow, that's really cool stuff. But Joe Colton, let's talk about you for a minute, shall we?
Okay. This is where Ryan makes me nervous.
Are you prepared? Are you prepared to discuss you?
Ryan excels at that.
I'm like starting to sweat.
That's the fires of hell coming at you from Lucifer. So check this out. You are in an Orville fan film called A Planetary Shoot. What's it called? A Planetary Series. That's what I thought.
Yes.
That's really cool. I saw the first episode. It was awesome. It was fun. We love the people involved. Do you want to tell us a bit about it? Were you part of the creation process, or were you just approached to
I've worked with Eric Moran for almost a decade on things, and we've done, Drudge Dread fan films, some Star Trek fan films.
You mean Eric the Smoke Moran, the professional wrestler?
Yes.
It's true.
That's funny because my
oh, wow.
my husband is actually a former wrestler as well, so they talk wrestling.
So you know who Paul Orndorff is, then, I hope.
I do. See, my favorite was Roddy Piper growing up. I was a Roddy.
Great.
Yeah,
Roddy Piper.
I met him in a restroom once. Please continue.
Mr. Wonderful?
No, Roddy Piper. Oh. He was awesome. He was great.
Yeah, was he really nice? He's really sweet. He was really sweet to his fans.
Yeah. He seems like he was just as nice as we had always hoped.
Yeah. He wasn't as villainous as he was in the ring.
But anyway, sorry, please tell us more.
Yes. So I've worked with Eric. I was on Trek Isolation with him, Dread shoots, and then he said to me, so I got an idea and I want you involved. And I have a hard time saying no to people. It's really bad. That's how I get overwhelmed.
Thanks for joining us today.
I was really excited. Thank you for having me. So he was like, listen, Joe, I got a project, I got an idea. And I said, okay. He's like, do you want to hear it? I was like, sure, but I'm already in. Like, I'm going to say yes. So he tells me the idea. And then I go up in February. We shoot the pilot. I am Captain Lorraine Emmett. And I am a captain of another starship, and I try and convince him that he should take his commission. And I'm pretty straightforward. My character is very zero things, and she's just a badass, and she's she spares no qualms about telling him like he's got to get out from his. So I also am working on the costumes for that show. So
I saw that in the credits. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So I've done some costume. I've done a lot of commissions. I've done some costume work for Bob O'Reilly. I made his Star Trek his new attire for his convention rounds. He wanted a, as they get older, they like to use the bathroom. So I made him a whole new.
Even young people like bathrooms. Hey, those of you at home that aren't big Star Trek nerds like we are, that is Gowron.
Gowron. Chancellor Gowron.
In Star Trek Next Generation and Deep Space Nine.
Yes, I love them both. So
also,
much.
Joe, by the way, you have begun work on a top secret DC-inspired project. Tell us all about it.
Can you?
So I have had the idea of creating my own series inspired by DC Comics. So that is starting to be in the works. I've told nobody except the few people that I'm going to be working with. So I'm announcing it, I guess, here first. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very female empowerment. And really interesting villains. I hope to get people to.
I think I know, but I'm not going to say. I'm going to change the sub before we start asking prying questions. We're going to go ahead and skip the question about you are building a screen accurate version of the golden armor from Wonder Woman.
Yes. Yes.
Like that.
We're going to skip right over that. We're not even going to mention it.
Yeah, because that's also DC Comics. But I will say that something that we'll find very interesting as well is that you are the co-chair for a podcast about G.I. Joe collectors.
Yes. So I'm a huge action figure collector.
Nice.
I also collect Sideshow collectible figures. But growing up, when I was younger, my dad was in the military, so it was very fitting that he would, get me little action figures. And obviously I got Barbies as well, but the G.I. Joes were my favorite. So I would kind of play with them. And I have collected since 1984.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any He-Man toys?
I do. So funny,
nice.
I have a complete Golden Girls collection, which is the predecessor to She-Ra. And it came out the year before She-Ra and He-Man action figures. And I have the holy grail of that series, which is the Castle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Castle
I'm a little
Grayskull?
intense. No, it's just it's
Eternia?
It's the predecessor to Eternia. So
wow, that's cool.
But I do have a Grayskull up in Canada. So it's at my parents' house. They were like, you don't need this, and I'm like, okay.
Damn. We need to have you back so you could do like a show and tell and be like, this is this, and this is this.
I feel like you would lose subscribers just by showing like all my action. Like I have tubs of action figures.
Well, we would love it though.
Right.
We'd be like, I had that one, man. Oh yeah.
And as Mike and I like
a Zoom call.
As Mike and I like to say, we don't mind losing subscribers because if they're unsubscribing, then that means that they just never really liked us in the first.
Yeah, get out of here.
But don't unsubscribe, please. And lastly, what's up with Trek Girls?
So we took a break last year a little bit. I got very busy and Maggie had some stuff to do. So we are going to be relaunching and doing either the Tuesday or the Thursday nights just because the new episodes of Discovery are released on Thursday nights. So we'll probably do discussions after that like we were doing with Picard. And then we'll do some costume building for Trek stuff. And we'll have discussions of old shows and materials and just prop building in general on Trek Girls.
And this is a weekly podcast.
We're thinking either weekly or bi-weekly, depending on our schedule. Well, now COVID, so I guess weekly.
Well, that's good. We're going to have
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that we're going to have all the links for all that important stuff in the description box below. And by we, I mean Michael is going to do all that work because he's really good with that. And I'm like, when I type.
Joe made it super easy. She gave us like all the links, all like nice and tidy. So all I have to do is copy and paste. I love that. So.
I love that too. Let's move forward, shall we? We've got some business to attend to. First of all, again, everybody, please be sure to like this video, comment in the comments section below, not just in the live chat, but in the comment section below, saying WTF, whatever you want us to see. Mm-hmm. And like, subscribe, you know, all the goodies. But it's time to get down to the nitty gritty.
The bottom line.
The bottom line. But, well, I call it the bottom line. Mike likes to call it the terrible twos.
I call it I think I'll change. I'll just call it the bottom line. So the bottom line. You were right, Ryan. The terrible twos is a terrible name. So we should just call it just the bottom line.
Okay. So here come the terrible twos. It's the final two questions of the show. This is it. We've already gotten through it. This is like graduation. The first question is, scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of Lucifer, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg?
I'm just going to go for an even 6. Even 6. I mean, I you know, you guys know all my reasons. I mean, I was annoyed about it at first, but then it kind of like took a little bit of a turn and it caught my interest. And by the end, I was like, yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see when we get to the next question. But but yeah, I think it was. I didn't hate it and I didn't love it, but it was passable.
Joe Colton, passable. Scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
I would say a 6.75.
Wow.
Acceptable. That is an acceptable number, yeah.
The accent gets me.
I feel like we're talking her down, though. I feel like she was coming in at 7.5, and we just dragged this thing through the mud for an hour. And she's like, God, they make good points.
I was a 7.5. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, she's also judging just this first episode, too. I mean, she had said that she had watched more of it. But yeah, if you look at just this first episode, I haven't seen any more than just this first episode. But yeah, if you just look at just this first episode, what did you think, Ryan?
Boy, oh boy. Scale of 1 to 10. I don't have to think about this one because I thought of it earlier when I watched it. I'm giving it a solid straight down the middle 5. Because there was some humor. The premise was the best part of the show. There was no terrible acting. I was mostly going hard on it because it had potential. But I give it a 5. I can understand why some people would like it. I can understand the demographic and the target audience. I'm not that target audience. It is not a show made for someone like me. And I'll feel like
a curmudgeon.
I just feel like people will get mad if I say I felt like the entire show was insulting my intelligence. Sorry, guys. I felt like it was assuming that I'm dumb and I'm not. And I was just like, look, I'm not going to fall for this crap. I'm not impressed, you guys. But anyway, what if you just pretended you were dumb for a little bit and then watch the show again? Maybe you'd like it. 9.
Wow.
9.5, 10. No, no. And I'm not trying to insult anybody. If you liked it for whatever reason, I'm not saying you're dumb. I'm just saying this is how I felt. I felt like it was for people that want to do crazy things, but they're too scared. So this made them feel wild and interesting. And aren't I cool? And aren't I mysterious? And oh man, the devil, he's the devil, but he's also naughty and he's also charming and he has a British accent. Teehee. So 5 is anyway, but now the final question, this is really the whole thing, the whole nitty gritty.
Right.
This is why Netflix tunes in to watch this, is to find out this answer. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch Lucifer, episode 1. Now that the podcast is over, of your own volition, would you watch the second episode, Michael?
Well, I'll tell you my answer.
I'm scared.
If I were looking for a procedural show to watch, and I do enjoy procedural shows. I watched a bunch of CSIs back in the day, and actually one show that I really enjoy is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's a comedy, but WTF Brooklyn Nine-Nine, by the way. It's a comedy, but it's a cop show also, and I like that there's the procedural element in that show that keeps me engaged. But for this show, if I were looking to watch a new procedural show, I might watch this one. I might watch this one, but okay. I'm not really late right now. But right. But if I were, I would watch it for sure.
That's an interesting thing about the procedural thing, because that was something I was totally not expecting, and I thought the same thing towards the end. I was like, oh shoot, this is like I'm watching like what's that Bone? I'm watching Bones all of a sudden. Yeah. Anyway, Joe, would you theoretically watch the second episode?
I would, just because of the supporting characters. I want to see if they expand on them and all the cliches kind of go away. Because I usually give a show 3 to 4 episodes. I have watched some that are only 2, and I'm like, I can't handle this. This is dumb, and my IQ is going down just by sitting here watching the credits. But I think I would, just to see that if it didn't hook me after the second, maybe the third, depending on the second one, I would stop watching it. But I just want to see if the other supporting characters come in, or if the dialogue or the writing gets a little bit better, and the cliches were just part of the pilot. They wanted to get that out of the way. So.
Okay.
All right, boy, tiebreaker. The pressure's on. Boy, oh boy, this is a tough choice for me too. I can't tell you how much I toiled over this. It's a no from me. I would not watch the second episode. I know, and it's not only because I was disappointed by it. It was not only because it was also procedural, which kind of does. I don't ever watch procedural shows. That's just zero interest. But also because it didn't really give me any. There were no cliffhangers. There was no real mystery outside of the bartendress. There was no mystery. Like sometimes a show, like we reviewed somewhere, the show sucks, but it ends on a really good cliffhanger or mystery where you're like, shit, now I have to watch the next episode because I got to find out what
You're not
this
talking
means.
about Red Dwarf, because Red Dwarf doesn't suck.
Well, it worked. That one worked on me. Remember, because I gave it like a 2, and I was like, yes, I would watch the next episode just because I got to find out what, and also Umbrella Academy was a little bit like that as well. Although that did
not suck though.
Although I said I would not watch the next episode, but I did end up watching the next 2 episodes, and I was right. It sucked still, and so I moved on. But anyway.
So you haven't watched that at all? Okay.
What?
So for everyone that's still tuned in.
Sorry for pooping for farting in the general direction of your favorite show, guys. This guy's really pissed at me. Look at he is very.
Right, he's like so mad at you.
He's staring a hole in the back of my head right now. Anyway,
I'm gonna get you, Ryan.
I'm glad that worked out for everybody. I hope that we didn't lose any subscribers for that. I hope we don't get any thumbs down for that, unless if you're going to do thumbs down, do it twice.
Do it twice, yeah.
So it equals 0. And I guess what I'm trying to say is,
You're relieved?
this podcast felt like a confessional.
This podcast dragged me right to hell.
This podcast had me thinking I need to listen to more jazz.
Ah.
That was the other thing I was going to say. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Joe Colton, thank you very much for joining us and for laughing at all of our dumb jokes. That was very nice of you. And definitely check out all of her stuff in the description box below. Suggest what you want us to see. Make sure you comment, all that kind of stuff. Joe, by the way, is there a show you think we should watch? Is there a WTF that you think?
Not Brooklyn 911. Not.
No, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I think you should do
Or Reno
Frasier.
911.
9-9, sorry.
Okay. WTF
Yeah, either
Frasier.
one, no.
WTF
Frasier, yes.
Got it. Okay. And I guess we better go, unless I'm forgetting something. Then we're just going to go to what Michael always says, which is...
Don't forget to watch the first of things.